keep your day job and save for when that opportunity comes up. We know we live in Southern California. When a deal comes up, it's gone just as quick, right? Especially if it's anything that has any substance to it. So save, keep your day job, right? A lot of people are like, I want to be a big investor. I want to quit my job and just invest. That's cool. That's awesome, but that's going to come with, a lot of time and a lot of experience. That's not going to be off the get-go. So 100%. Let that job be your catalyst for saving, for getting information, and then ultimately taking that lead.
All right, welcome to an episode of Real Estate vs. Technology. Excited for this one as we're going to be going to Orange County, California. We're going to be learning a little bit about investing, fix and flipping, also traditional real estate from the buy side and also the sell side and everything in between. So super excited for today's episode, especially if you're someone that wants to get into the real estate business. I feel like it's nice to be well diverse, right? Not just do the traditional buy and sell side, but also get into some investing, fix and flip to diversify our portfolio in this real estate business. Our co-host, Mr. Dan Gandy, knows all about diversification. How many doors you have now, Dan? I can only imagine you've been just rocking and rolling.
Couple dozen.
Couple
mobile home parks on top of that. So things have been good, but
I love it.
Been busy on the fix and flip side with clients, helping them. We got 6 or 7 of those projects going on right now. So excited to be in this combo.
100%. Yeah, we actually just closed on one last week, my wife and I. This week, we're looking at, just got inspections done and got that in last night, and then got our text message from another investor. So I think we're all in the same wheelhouse here. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Big thanks to Liftoff Agent for sponsoring the show. And let's go ahead and get our guests on, shall we? All right. We got Jesus and Jaslene on the show. Welcome to you both. Excited to have you.
How's it going?
And I was checking out your Instagram, some of your content, some of the stuff you're doing. And I love the phone call, Jaslene, when you're on the phone with one of your clients. You're saying, it's a good day for getting your offer accepted. Yeah. And your client was so excited. That was so cool. And I think that's like what a lot of agents don't do, but they should, is just sharing the story of what's going on and just adding some personality out there. It doesn't need to be that polished. It could just be like a recording of a phone call saying, hey, your offer got accepted. And I love something as simple as that, but that was super exciting for your clients.
Yeah, no, thank you. That one in particular, I was working with them last year. They stopped for a little bit and then they jumped back on board this year and got them in within like a month. And
I love that.
Yeah, I was really excited to give them that call. But yeah, it's all about the story. So that's what we like to kind of portray out there. It's not just sold or just listed,
Exactly. And then people can build that know, like, and trust with you. Is there any reason why maybe they didn't continue the process? Because we all know the market and all the things, there's so many kind of like what ifs, right? And people sometimes get a little kind of I don't know, depending on their confidence level, it could also be personal, but was it because of the market or anything, or just more personal side for their reasons of
in their case, it wasn't the market. It was more, she was finishing up her master's degree.
Wow.
And she wanted to take a trip to Italy. She put all that work into schooling. And so she took a month trip to Italy with her fiance, came back and decided, okay, I'm ready now, and sometimes you need that. You need to feel like you're ready. You don't want to be like, just have the idea and feel rushed into it. So I respected that. I'm like, okay, that's awesome. Let's do it now.
That's so cool. Those are pretty cool activities, life events that happen before you buy, the biggest investment of your life. So let's get a little bit into your story. I'm curious about the duo. So, being married, being in the industry, and even fix and flip. I actually was I had a notary here, and he's like, I can't do fix and flip with my wife because we can't even agree on light fixtures and just the basics, colors. So how does that dynamic work? Did you just start off from the beginning, just saying, hey, let's go for it? Let's get into a little bit of the story. I'm curious.
Yeah. So you know what? It's funny because that's actually one of the questions I would get the most. It's, hey, how is it working with your spouse?
Yeah.
The ins and outs of the company and all that stuff. And I would say for us, I mean, to be honest, it's pretty easy. We have a lot going on. I'll be honest, between kids, between work, and then I think I actually mentioned it to you through an email. I actually work for the fire department full time as well.
Yeah.
So like I said, we have a full plate. The nice thing about, the fire department is that I basically work 48 hours and then I'm off 96. So it's extremely flexible. And then it allows me that time to be able to do both like I said, fire department, and then real estate as well. But as far as our projects, I would say, we're on the same page, just because we're basically talking real estate nonstop, if you will. Not only that, but then our tastes are kind of the same. And ultimately, I think as long as you have a vision for what you want the end product to look like, it's extremely easy to get there. So, I mean, you guys know, if it's a flip, if it's anything to where it's going out to the general public, it's going to be stuff that appeals to the masses, right? So you're not necessarily going to go, super custom, if you will. It's going to be stuff that's, it's pretty general in regards to, what people like. And then that translates over to, our personal investments, our buy and holds, all that stuff is, we really do see the eye to eye. And like I said, ultimately for us, it's seeing that long-term vision, and then saying, okay, how do we get there together?
Yeah, I think too, it's just kind of like staying in your lane, your ego. You can't let your ego get too far ahead of you. So it's sort of like that. I'm pretty chill, laid back. So I do kind of like give him a lot of respect in that sense. But it's more like, all right, let's go for it.
I love that.
Yeah, the risk taker versus the person who is the person who's kind of has the opposite end of the spectrum can be always an interesting dynamic. So it's great that you guys work together.
And go ahead.
I was going to say my wife is the complete opposite. She freaks out every time I buy a property. So it's kind of fun. So how do you guys find your properties that you work on? Like, I always ask this question because there's like a dynamic of listings that turn into flips, wholesale deals, like off market. What do you do?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and I'll be honest, the majority of the flips that we've done so far have been ones that have kind of been introduced to us, whether it be through past clients, through other realtors, or through other investors. So I would say that's for flips. I'll be honest, I think the longer that we're in this game, the longer we see the benefits of buy and hold. I mean, and it's one of those things where we did a flip in Santa Ana last year. We ended up making 250 on it, and we're like, oh, it's awesome, it's great, but then you go back, you look at the numbers, and we're like, hold on, well, what would happen if we would have kept this? Maybe built 3-4 units in the back. What would that have looked like over the span of 20-30 years? So we're still learning as we go. Not to say that we didn't take that money and invest somewhere else. But it's always nice is, just connecting with other people that are like-minded, because ultimately you learn from those people. And I think, especially with you doing this, is you get to see a lot of, methods and a lot of different ways of doing things. And some you're like, hey, that's awesome. Others maybe, hey, that doesn't work for me, or that's not initially my style. But ultimately you learn that much more.
I love that. That's huge. And so do you, like, say, because on the traditional side, right, you might go to a formal listing presentation. You see a house, go through that process. Do you ever have that conversation? I'm sure it's come up before, because you look at some of these homes that are built in 80s, 90s, early 2000s, and it's like, okay, you've done a couple things, or you'll see like mismatched bathrooms and things don't match and all the things. And do you say, hey, might be an idea or a good idea to renovate this, or if you renovated it, you can get top dollar, or do you usually just list it as is? How do you handle that situation for anyone listening out there that maybe isn't in the fix and flip game, right? They're just traditional real estate agents, and they're just listing the home. They're not even thinking like there's more to it.
Right. I would say that it really depends on the client, right? So if it's someone that just doesn't have the funds to fix it, then it's always an option. Like, hey, one option is I could front the money and I can help you fix, the bathroom or paint or do floors to help you get top dollar. And then I'm going to recoup that from the net proceeds at the end, right? So that's one way. Another way is, hey, I'm open to buying this. And you never want to push it, right? It's not like that, like, you don't want that to be the only avenue for them. But at least know it's an option. Like, if you don't want any of that, and you don't even want people in your house, and you just don't want to go the traditional route, we can also do this route, and this is how the numbers play out. So we're very transparent in that way, where it's like, how do the numbers make sense for the client? And whatever makes sense for them is what we're going to do. It's, the best that they see fit is kind of how we'll follow.
I like that. That's a really good idea, because there's lots of things you could do with that too. You can list it, you can potentially like buy it, or you potentially can help them renovate it and then sell it for more. That's super smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the cool things, and going back to the, working with your spouse, and one of the things that makes us unique is the fact that she deals with more like general sales, if you will, so buying, selling from like just, day-to-day buyers, if you will, or general public, as opposed to myself, where I deal with more the investing side. So I would say at any point in time, as we have people that'll come to us and say, hey, I have X amount to invest, so I would say at any given moment we have, probably $500,000 to $1 million under management of people that come to us and say, hey, I want to buy multifamily. It's awesome, the relationships that we built over the year. We've had, we just closed on one, 2 weeks ago, where someone was like, hey, I have $300,000 to invest, basically help me invest it. And then, do right by that money. And ultimately we take that very serious, right?
Yeah.
This is a lot of money that we're talking about, 6 figures is a lot of money. So we really take that to heart and know that ultimately is our customer, is our, is what we're there for and who we're there to help. And I think, in one way or another, me working for the fire department translates over, because I really do have that genuine care to want to take care of someone, right? Whether it be at the fire department, physically, or in real estate financially. And, now it's something that we've been doing for 8 years, around there, 10 years. In terms of the investing thing. So we really do love it.
Wow.
Do you usually structure those deals as like a syndication, joint venture? How do you guys manage those,
So usually if it's private money, we'll do it as just a sole purchase by them, if you will. So we haven't really gotten too much in like syndications, just based off of like timing and how much we have going on. But we are open to like partnerships and things like that. That's something that we're working out on our end to basically benefit both sides, right? They do want to buy something and don't necessarily have the capital. And then for us as well, right? Because it's that many more doors that we're adding. And then ultimately for us, like I said, it's something that we're still talking about and trying to figure out what does the end result look like. So that to us is important, is a lot of times we'll work backwards, if you will, is look to see, hey, where do we eventually want to be and how do we work to get there?
Totally makes sense. And it's always
I love that.
It's always like a fun business structure question to ask yourself, like, because you're like, do I want to be in business with this person, or should I just help them and advise them as a consultant? Right. So,
exactly.
I really want to get in bed with this person.
I just want to sell them the property as a real estate agent and get my commission check and never talk to you. So
well, we've been consulting a lot more, like for this client in particular. We, ran the numbers, like, yeah, it totally makes sense. It's super hard at cash flow here in California. And with this property, we're able to get it basically under market. The rents were really good, so they're cash flowing like right off the bat. I want to say like $1,300, which is awesome. So I was able to help them not only just purchase and be like, hey, peace out, you're on your own, but like help them purchase and then get it ready to hit the rental market. I help them put on the rental market, and now basically helping them get renters in it, because I never want to put anyone in a bad position, because that would just like eat me up inside.
Amen to that. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's we have a lot of actually clients coming to us like, hey, I see what you guys are doing, investing in multifamily. Like, how can I do that? These are what my finances look like. Where do you think is best for me to go?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at right now. But it would be awesome, someday to do the syndication, because not everyone has like the full on down payment. So if it's just like, hey, I have like 15,000. Do you want to invest in that? And I've actually had a client reach out to me like, hey, on your next flip, I can give you like 30,000. If you want to, take that on, I'll just get a return off that.
I love that. That's what my wife and I do. We do a 20% return on cash returns. So 20% of the cash they put in, they get back out, not out of the whole entire pot, but just out of their portion, which is nice. And so just small little investors right now, but it definitely makes it nice. So that way it's like her chiropractor's like curious. And there's so many people out there that don't really know how to get into real estate, how to invest, how to be able to have passive residual income coming in. And kudos to both of y'all for being able to have someone that says, hey, here's $300,000. That's not every day you get that opportunity. You got to have, obviously you're doing a great job, that comes with a lot of responsibilities, as you said, but that's cool that you're putting the client first and you're not putting your own self-interest or worth first. You're putting their interests and what they, looking to do first. And it's cool that you give them the options. So, cause you have the power, right? So you could give them one of three, right? That's in your best interest, but you gave them all the three, which is really cool.
Yeah. And it's different when you're investing your own money, because if something happens to your own money, it's like, okay, I could learn from that. But if something happens to your client's money, I'm like, no, that can never happen.
It says a lot about the person too, because like they're putting a lot of trust in you, and it's almost another fiduciary responsibility, right? Because you're advising them on how to invest and what vehicle to do it in. And I think that, like you said, the curiosity question that, you know, the dentist or the chiropractor brings up is that they're used to like walking into Edward Jones or someplace like that, and somebody's like, yeah, let's buy some stocks and mutual funds.
Yeah.
You're this different creative avenue for them to get a better return. And so they have to trust you. And I think that says a lot about the people, especially you guys, is that if people are able to trust you, they're going to give you money and see the return happen. So
we love that. We don't take that lightly either.
And I think ultimately it comes down to, you know, transparency and, you know, people seeing that we're genuine in what we do. You know, we really do care for our clients, and that's big, you know, huge here at Home Dream is our client comes first. You know, everything else is just kind of a cherry on top. Ultimately, you know, we're super fortunate to be able to, you know, rely on our investments and our buy and holds and all that stuff. So everything else that we do is, like I said, the cherry on top, and us ultimately genuinely wanting to help that client.
I love that. I love that. So for viewers and listeners out there, right, there's a lot of people out there that are working a job and they want to get into real estate. And so they're listening to the podcast, they're hearing the story right now. So Jesus, with you doing what you're doing, like with being a firefighter, and thanks so much for your service, like what's the end game? Do you want to get to a certain threshold of income before you'll retire? Are you never going to retire because it's nice to have the contrast? Like, what do you recommend for people out there who's listening or viewing?
I told them you can't retire because I like your pension plan.
It's so funny. It's so funny. And I think it's awesome, right? Is you're hitting some of these questions that we've got in the past and that people are genuinely interested to learn about.
Yes.
I think ultimately for me, it's creating a life where I don't necessarily want to retire from the fire department, right? I get asked all the time is like, hey, are you going to retire soon? Are you going to retire early and all that stuff? I'll be honest, at the end of the day, I don't necessarily have that answer like right now, right?
Yeah.
For me, it's building, like I said, that life where I have that proper balance and I'm able to do all of it. And I think that really is the nice part about being like a private investor, if you will, is that I don't have to show houses regularly. I'm not on the phone regularly, right? Is usually when you're dealing with investors, is you're dealing with people that are, you know, very, very straightforward and very matter of fact, which translates over to that fire department, right? It's people saying, hey, I have this money and I'm looking to invest it. You're not necessarily dealing with, like I said, general public, where a little bit more emotion and all that stuff comes.
I deal with all that stress. I do.
Yeah. I can't do what she does on a day to day.
Your hand. Come on, let's go look at property.
Yin and yang, gotta have it.
100%.
Yeah. So yeah, like I said, as far as, you know, if you're looking at it strictly from a monetary standpoint, then sure, you know, investing real estate, it makes that much more sense. But for me, it comes down to, you know, just that impact that I could have, and ultimately something that my kids are able to look at and be like, man, this is awesome, right? So there's some things that you just can't put a price on. And for me, having my kids visit me at the fire station, having my kids, you know, see what I do, and then see that ultimately it comes down to just being a good person, giving back is huge, right? So like I said, I have that balance right now and I love it. So I don't necessarily know that I would be able to step away from that. I will say one of the really cool things is that everyone that I work with, basically my immediate circle and anyone that works at my station, is they are now investing. You know, and we've helped. We really have, you know, and it's crazy. And I started noticing it more recently, but they're seeing the benefits, right?
Yeah.
Like I said, working, you know, really any job is awesome, any 9 to 5, anything like that. But you know, you hit a ceiling at a certain point, right? So to me, it's very important that they see, hey, that's awesome. You know, we're doing all this, but at the same time, is have your money work for you. You know, have your money work for you. You work so hard, right? Helping other people, helping the public, going on calls, getting up 3-4 times in the middle of the night. You know, take care of yourself and your family. And I think ultimately for me, that was when the light switch, you know, kind of came on. Is I was working, you know, and I want to say this is when my daughter was younger, maybe just born or, you know, about to be born. But I was working, you know, on top of my regular schedule, you know, 1,100 hours, 1,200 hours extra a year.
Wow.
You know, so then I did the math and I broke it down, because when I'm gone, you know, I'm gone for 24 hours. That's, you know, so I ended up doing the math and I'm like, man, I'm gone for 40 days on top of my regular work days. You know, and that's time that I'm taking away from my kids, from my family, from my wife. Like, how can I do this smarter to where I'm able to get the best of both worlds, and investing is what made it click for me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was really hard as like being his wife, him always gone. Like I would plan like, oh yeah, I could be there, but he's not going to be there. I can go to that wedding, but he won't be there. Like, you know,
Yeah.
so it's super hard, but that's the thing that like we try to like also teach first responders is like, you don't have to work 1,000 hours of overtime just to survive. Like it shouldn't be that way.
Yeah.
So let's take that a little that risk up front so it could benefit you and your family, you know, years from now. So that way you're home more with your kids. You're home more with your wife, because it is very hard being on the receiving end of him being gone so much.
That, you know, that resonates with me because I work too much, and the weekends get kind of blended into the week, and I feel like I never have a weekend. But the reason for the investing is like to build that passive income stream so that I eventually just say no, like, or I can hand off those deals to referrals. And so, yeah, I think that's super important for anybody out there listening, even in the real estate agent space. Like if you want to scale your real estate business, you got to scale yourself out of being in production every day. And I think that real estate investing is the way to go.
Yeah. And as you know, it's one of those things where it's never really ending, right? It's like you're on to the next, you're on to the next, you're on to the next. But for us, it really is important, and something that we've been seeing more lately is that there's like beauty in stillness, right? There's beauty in like, hey, we're in a good spot. Our kids are young. They're never going to be this age again. You know, let's enjoy them. Let's enjoy the fruits of what we've done so far. And then move on from there. So that is also important, because like I said, you know how it is. It's always like, especially myself and Dan, you hit it right on the head. I'm the type where it's like, okay, what's next? What are we going to do? Hey, I saw this house, like put an offer, you know, and that's half of the deals. Like there's stuff that we weren't even approved for. Where I'm like, hey, write an offer. This thing just hit the market. Crazy deal. Like this is going to be awesome. She's like, we're not even.
I'm like you're crazy, but I'll write the offer.
And sure enough, we ended up getting it. You know, it's like, so yeah, it is important to have that balance.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. And I just want to touch on the first responder thing, because at the beginning of the show or middle of the show, we talked a little bit about like retiring and like if you would and when would that look like? You said that's not the thing. And then you said like what this has done is gave me more time, so I don't have to put in so much time at the station. And then how everyone started asking questions, and now you're helping first responders with like, hey, investing. I almost could see in your future an opportunity where it could be like a course or like a YouTube channel or some type of value you could be adding to first responders across the nation to help them not, I mean, I don't know how the government would feel about this, but not make them work so much extra time and overtime. And that could even be a part of their pension and their retirement in the future of whatever it is that they're doing. Like that's such a powerful thing that you're doing that could turn into so much more. I don't know if that's even something that you're working on or thought about, but I thought that's a really cool idea.
Yeah. So not necessarily at that scale, I'll be honest. I have, done podcasts, and we just did one not too long ago with a nurse, and he kind of, that's his niche, if you will. He kind of doubles down on like nursing, So it has been brought up because I know there are a lot of first responders who, are interested in investing or just want to find a better way of doing things as opposed to, having to be at a hospital all the time, at a fire station, being on a police car, you know what I mean? And then ultimately it's nice because usually that group does have a steady stream of income, and probably income that's a little bit higher than most, you know what I mean? So that's definitely a good idea. You might have just given me an idea right there.
So any first responders, go DM. Link it down below.
Or it could be a syndication with just all first responders.
Ooh, there you go.
See, this is like a podcast and a mastermind all in one right here.
Love it.
You're hearing it first. Real estate first technology. No, that's super cool. I absolutely love that. So Jaslene, let's get into like, how did you get started into the industry, and were you working too and then quit your job, or did you automatically just go directly into just the real estate game?
You're gonna like this answer.
Yeah. Well, so I actually got my degree in criminal justice, took the LSAT, got accepted to law school. And then we found out that we were expecting our daughter. And because he was working so much overtime, I was like, there's no way that I can do law school and you're gone half the week. And then raise a newborn at the same time. I was like, that's going to be so draining and does not sound fun at all. So I stood home for that year. And for that year, I felt like, it's almost like your identity is stripped away from you a little bit, right? Because you're like, this made me who I am, and this and this, and then now you're just like a mom to this baby human, which I love, but it was a little bit more of like a learning curve for me, and I learned a lot in that season, like that stillness, because it's like, oh my gosh, you're so much more than what your job, what you identify in your job, right?
Yeah.
And so he brought it to my attention. He's like, hey, he was listening to a lot of like Bigger Pockets and like learning how to invest. We don't come from real estate. Like, my parents never invested. His parents never invested.
Nor I.
He's like, get your real estate license. I was like, no way. Cheesy. I'm not going to sell a house. Like, they are cheesy with their signs on the street. Like, no, He's like, just do it for us. Do it for like when we go buy an investment property one day, like you could represent us and we can get that commission. So I was like, okay. So I got my license, and I had no idea that you had to hang it with a broker. I was like so green. But one of my friends in high school, his parents own a brokerage here in Whittier. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go hang it with them. I went to all the classes. I was like, oh my gosh, it sounds really like cliche. But I just wanted to like help people, because I felt like in the industry, there's so many just like sharks out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I want to be so different than that. I want to be like someone that a client can come to like wholeheartedly and like just trust me because I got them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's how I kind of ended up doing real estate. I never stopped since.
From cheesy to
to more cheesy.
More cheesy, helping people and showing up, and that's cool. I mean, now you guys have this dynamic and just organically grew into something that you have now, which is awesome. Like, as we're growing right now together, podcast / mastermind on what's next on the syndication for first responders around the country. You heard it here first. If that happens, and have to
all right,
make sure to put this episode out there on your stuff. But that's awesome. So what does it look like for the future for y'all, as far as just helping more families and just kind of having a blend, buyer side, sell side, and investing and flipping? And is that what you're going to continue to do?
Yeah, I think because I'm just so busy on like the buy and list side, I definitely need help. So I'm definitely looking to get some assistance on my side just to kind of help with that. So I do want to put some love into like teaching people how to invest, whether that looks like doing a free course, right? Because some people don't know where to go, or there's too many voices out there to listen to. It's kind of like a tug and pull sort of thing.
Yep.
So I can create like a course for them, like, hey, this is my story, and these are the options that you have. That's something that I'm kind of like working with. And then just really like educating people is what Home Dream's about. While we give back, because I don't know if he's told you, but every transaction that we do, we're giving back to charity. Mm-hmm. And so I would love to expand on that, like maybe get more involved with the charities while we're kind of like helping people invest. It's a whole thing.
That's super cool. That's awesome. No, that's what it's about, right? Giving back, serving, supporting the community, and helping people out, so that way everyone can be able to live long and prosper, because karma, it's a thing.
Yeah. And that really is a special, time and moment for both us as well as clients. Is like she said, with every transaction, a portion goes back to charity, and we'll call them up, following the transaction and say, hey, this is a special time. What charity would you like to donate to? And everyone has, just a personal attachment to specific charities or specific cause. So it's nice because they'll let us know, and then we'll give a certain portion back. And I think for them, it's special, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not just a transaction and like, hey, okay, we'll see you. It's they know, hey, it's much bigger than that.
Yeah, I love that. And websites behind me, links are down below. You guys have the page. I saw it on your website as far as some of the charities to give back what you're doing. And I was thinking, unless you have something else, Dan, is like, as we end the show today, like, what is some like basics, like for someone who's listening and viewing, have no idea how to get into investing, maybe they have a real estate license and they're transacting right now. What would be some just basic ABC steps?
Yeah, I mean, I would say number one is reach out to someone that's doing it, right? A lot of times you'll see people online, or you'll see, certain Instagram profiles. It's like, hey, buy, sell, invest. That's cool. That's awesome, right? But at the end of the day, you have to have someone that's actually doing it. And I think that's one of the strong suits, is everything that we talk about, right? Whether it's flips, whether it's buy and hold, whether it's, just regular buying, selling, we do. Right. And that's important, because stuff changes so much, right? If you talk to someone that's flipped a property 10 years ago, it's not the same. If you talk to someone that bought, a 4-unit 10 years ago, it's not the same. It's extremely important to reach out to someone that's doing it and that's doing it at a high level. Number two, I would just say, just look online and see what information there is, right? We live in a day and time where a lot of information is available to you at your fingertips, right? Just log onto your phone or, go on your computer and look up, any investing show. So Bigger Pockets, Brandon Turner is an awesome, person, and he teaches a lot about investing. So that's great. And then three, I would just say, keep your day job and save for when that opportunity comes up. We know we live in Southern California. When a deal comes up, it's gone just as quick, right? Especially if it's anything that has any substance to it. So save, keep your day job, right? A lot of people are like, I want to be a big investor. I want to quit my job and just invest. That's cool. That's awesome, but that's going to come with, a lot of time and a lot of experience. That's not going to be off the get-go. So let that job be your catalyst for saving, for getting information, and then ultimately taking that leap. And I would say, just to end that note, is a lot of people think, hey, I need, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 doors, all that stuff. I think we all know it doesn't necessarily come down to that. Is it awesome to have more doors than just a few? Absolutely. But at the same time, just one investment property can change the course of your life and the course of your family's life. So don't let that, people that have hundreds of doors, kind of discourage you. It's like, man, I only have one. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just get one under your belt. And then once again, I think we all know that it gets that much easier after that, because not only do you obtain the information, the knowledge, right, but that you now have that property to maybe pull some, money out, cash out, refi, whatever it is. Just start off with one.
Yeah, and if I can add really quick, I would say, get out of your own way, right? We're always you make excuses for everything as to why you can't do something, but it's more like, okay, I don't have to figure it all out. Like when we started investing, we didn't know anything. We just kind of took that leap of faith, and I knew that he, at the end of the day, wasn't going to lead us in a wrong direction. And so I'm like, just get out of your own way, meet with someone and goal plan. So I goal plan with all my clients. I'm like, we need to know whether you're ready in the next 6 months or it's going to take us a couple years to get there. So let's do that. And if you don't have any property, I would say buy a multifamily first. So that's like the biggest thing, so we can get doors under your belt right away.
I love that. That's huge. So their information's down below. You can go ahead and contact them. And also, Dan as well, or any of us. So if you're listening and viewing and watching, definitely always love to help. And this has been great. It's nice to get a little behind the scenes perspective of your business, how you got founded, how you started. I'm really excited to have you back on. What do you think, Dan? I think they can come back on here in a year or so.
In the year and see what's going on.
See what happens with this syndication. Are you going to be helping first responders? Charity, giving back. I'm curious. So,
and that's the thing too, is even with Home Dream, it's like, we've been investing for a while. She's been doing real estate for a while, obviously all that good stuff. But Home Dream, it's like we, if you look at it, from an outside perspective, is we just started Home Dream and what that's about, and the amount of love and support that we've received over the last 7 months has been awesome. So we're just starting, and we're definitely looking to take it all the way.
Wow.
But thank you guys too for having us on.
Thank you very much, Dan,
nice
Norman. We really
of course. I think we're 345 episodes in now. It's been a lot. Yeah. So Dan had the idea to kick this thing off a while back, and then we ran with it. And thanks to Liftoff Agent, who does all the editing and the thumbnail and the copy and the posting and the team over there. So they help us out with the production of it all, which is great. And then, Dan's been getting busier and busier, and, he has a couple kids himself. So, I try to do the best that I can do to hold this down. And then Dan comes as much as he possibly can. And we appreciate having amazing guests like you guys.
Yeah. No, thank you very much for having us.
Great to meet you guys.
Yeah, likewise. So go check out the Home Dream team, and down below is their links. You can check them out. So Jose and also Jaslene, thanks so much, Dan, for co-hosting today. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, great to meet you guys.
Of course. And thanks to all our viewers and listeners, as it is our intention for you to take things from our episodes, apply to your business, have more massive success. Subscribe, notification bell. You'll be notified every Friday for new episodes coming out at 3:30 Pacific Standard Time. And we'll see you all on the next one.
See you guys.
Bye.